They say nothing lasts forever, not even cold November rain. And yet some memories fall like that very rain. Soft at first, then suddenly, all at once. I should know. I've lived with one for 4 years. My name is Emily Hart. I'm 36, a music therapist in New York City. I work at a trauma recovery center downtown, where healing happens in chords and silences. I used to believe love was something I'd outgrow, that it was reckless, dramatic, the kind of thing you only truly feel once, and if you're lucky, survive. Then I met Andrew Clark. It was the spring of 2017. He was a photojournalist, quiet, sharp, always watching. He had this way of looking at people like he was already photographing the moment. We met during one of his assignments. I didn't like him at first. I thought he was there to exploit pain. He thought I was naive, trying to heal things that couldn't be undone with melody. But something shifted. Somewhere between late night, conversations in hospital corridors and walks through Central Park, we found each other in the spaces between our scars. He told me his truths. I played him mine, and then he left. I remember the rain that morning, cold and steady. I watched him walk away through a window that wouldn't stop fogging up, as if the city itself didn't want me to see him go. He didn't look back. I didn't chase him. He sent one message, months later. A picture of a broken violin he found, in Aleppo. I never responded. What could I say that wouldn't break us more? Time passed. I married someone else. Briefly. It wasn't right. It wasn't music. And in the stillness after that ended, I found myself back at the piano, playing songs I hadn't touched in years. Songs that belonged to him. And then came the letter. It arrived in the middle of a Tuesday. No return address. My name, written. In ink I knew but hadn't seen in years. When the night is cold and lonely, memories come dressed in music. I thought maybe he remembered. That letter sat on my desk for days. I reread it like it was lyrics from an old favorite. I even played November Rain the night it arrived, letting the melody stitch together everything that had unraveled between us. But days passed, then weeks. Nothing, until I saw him. Standing near Washington Square Park, looking exactly like a song I thought I'd forgotten. Same coat, same eyes, a little more tired, a little more real. He said my name like it. Had never left his mouth. I wanted to cry, or laugh, or run. Instead, I said, "You came back." And he looked at me with that same gaze, like I was the moment worth capturing. "You sent the letter," but I hadn't. I shook my head, confused. "No, I thought you did." It didn't make sense, and yet, it made all the sense in the world. Someone, something, wanted this moment to happen. Later that night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, wondering if fate had its own way of composing stories. Maybe ours wasn't over. Maybe the final verse had just been waiting. For the rain, for the season, for us. The day I saw him again, I forgot how to breathe. New York was exactly how I remembered. Too loud, too alive, too much. But that day, under a sky that threatened rain and redemption, everything else faded. There he was, Andrew, standing like he belonged in the frame of my life again, unsure of whether to enter or turn away. He said my name, and I almost didn't respond. Not because I didn't want to, but because hearing it from his lips undid something I'd kept stitched shut. We ended up at the cafe we used to visit, tucked between brownstones and bookstores. It was smaller than I remembered, or maybe my memories had grown in his absence. I stirred my tea, counterclockwise, a nervous habit he probably remembered. "So, Edinburgh?" I asked. "For a while now," he said, his voice quieter than I. "Remembered, like a song turned down too low." "Were you hiding?" I asked, only half teasing. His silence was an answer. I wanted to ask 1,000 things. About the photos he never published, the countries he vanished into, the months, no, years, that stretched like silence between us. But I didn't. Not yet. We talked like we were afraid to say the wrong thing. He asked if I still played. I nodded. Told him about the kids I worked with, how music still filled the rooms they were too afraid to speak in. He smiled, and for a moment, we were 20-something again. Unbroken, but we weren't. There was a boy now. Liam, 6 years old, gentle eyes, a spirit too old for his age. He loved music the way I once loved Andrew, fiercely, without apology. I didn't tell Andrew about him. Not yet. That would come later. Instead, I walked him through the streets of our old city, past murals I helped paint, shops we used to frequent, a church that still smelled of candles and whispered promises. It all felt like memory wrapped in flesh. As the sun began to set, I realized I wasn't angry anymore. I had been for so long, at him, at fate, at myself. But now, all I felt was the sharp ache of what might still be possible. That night, I stood by my window, the city lights like constellations of lives moving on, and I whispered a silent thank you to whoever sent that letter, the one neither of us claimed. Maybe it was the city, maybe the universe, maybe our own hearts finally conspiring to bring us back together. All I knew was this: he was here, and I wasn't ready to say goodbye again. I invited him to the center the next day. It felt sudden, impulsive, but somehow right. If he was really back, if this moment was truly happening, then I wanted him to see my world now. The one I'd built from silence and symphonies. The one that had saved me when he hadn't. I watched him walk the halls like he was afraid to touch anything. The kids, the instruments, the healing. None of it fit the world we used to share. And yet, there he was, in it, present. And maybe that mattered more than words ever could. When he met Liam, I thought I'd prepared myself. I hadn't. Liam was sitting at the small piano in the therapy room, fingers searching for a melody he'd only heard in pieces. It was November Rain. Of course it was. That song had followed me through too many storms to be coincidence now. "Hi," I said softly. "Liam, this is Andrew. He's someone I used to know." Liam turned, curious. "Hi?" Andrew looked at him like the world had tilted. Then he looked at me. His voice, when it came, was barely there. "Is he—" I nodded. "Yes." The silence that followed was heavier than anything the rain had ever brought. I watched it sink into him, settle behind his eyes. He didn't speak, just sat beside Liam, watching his fingers move, a quiet awe blooming in his expression. "He's beautiful," Andrew whispered. "He's everything," I replied. The weight between us shifted. Not gone, never gone, but balanced now. A secret named, a truth shared, a storm finally spoken. Later that afternoon, we walked. The sky was moody again, low and gray and filled with a kind of promise that only November carries. He didn't ask why I hadn't told him. I didn't offer. We weren't ready. Not yet. But we stopped at the mural I'd helped paint. The woman at the piano beneath the storm cloud. It had always been mine. But now, it felt like ours. He traced the paint with his eyes. You still believe in music saving people? Every day. I'm sorry I left, he said quietly. I'm sorry I let you. That night over dinner, he told me about the years he'd vanished into. The places, the people, the photos he never published because some stories weren't his to share. I listened, really listened. And somewhere between the wine and the warmth, I felt something loosen inside me. Hope. When he asked if I still had my piano, I nodded. Play with me? I asked. We sat side by side on the old bench, knees touching, breath caught. My fingers began, then his, and we played like we were trying to say all the things words had broken. No lyrics, just sound, just us. When the rain began, it was soft, almost hesitant, like even the sky wasn't sure it should interrupt. I missed this, he said. I missed you, I whispered. He didn't kiss me. Not yet. But his hand found mine, and that was enough. That night, in the quiet after the storm, I dreamed of beginnings instead of endings. Maybe, just maybe, this song wasn't over. Maybe we were only now learning the melody. The morning after our song, everything felt both lighter and heavier. Lighter because he was back. He had seen Liam, heard him play, felt the weight of the truth I had carried alone. He didn't run. He didn't crumble. He simply stayed. And that, in itself, was everything. He came by again the next day, early, with coffee and a quiet nervousness. Liam greeted him like an old friend, handing him a crayon drawing of a stick figure family, me, Liam, and what could only be Andrew, holding a tiny camera. I nearly cried. We spent the morning at the park. The three of us, Liam on the swings, Andrew pushing gently, catching his laughter like he used to catch light. The image felt surreal, like someone had sketched a future I never dared to imagine. But nothing stays still for long. That evening, after Liam had fallen asleep, Andrew lingered. We sat on the couch, the rain pattering against the window like it was tuning an orchestra. I don't want to go back, he said. My chest tightened. Then don't. I still have a life in Edinburgh, loose ends, a gallery, people who think I've disappeared enough. So what happens now? He looked at me like I was the question he'd been trying to answer for years. I want this. You, him, us. I stood up, walked over to the window, my fingers tracing the condensation. I'm scared, Andrew. Not of you. Of believing in something. Again. Of letting you in and having to watch you walk away a second time. He joined me, close but not touching. I didn't come to leave again. I came to find something I thought I'd lost. And I did. You. I turned to him. You didn't lose me. You let go. A silence bloomed. Heavy. Honest. He nodded, eyes down. You're right, and I can't take back the years, but I can show up now, every day, if you'll let me. I wanted to believe him, but trust is a fragile thing, like a glass melody. It doesn't shatter loud, It just breaks. I need time, I said. I'll wait. He left that night with a kiss to Liam's forehead and a promise whispered into my hair. This time, I won't be the one who disappears. The next few days were filled with small steps. Messages, visits, music. Liam began asking if Andrew would be there tomorrow. And I began saying yes. But storms, even internal ones, don't pass quietly. One evening, as I cleaned out a drawer I hadn't touched in years, I found the envelope. The letter. The one I thought he had sent. And tucked inside it, another note I had never noticed before. A child's handwriting, my own, scribbled in the corner. If you miss someone, tell them, even if it's scary, especially if it is. It wasn't his letter. It had been mine. Written years ago, in therapy. A prompt from a group session. Unsent. Unread until now. I laughed. I cried. The universe hadn't sent us back to each other. We had. Through memory. Through music. Through some unseen thread of unfinished love. The next morning I called him. Come over, I said. I was already halfway there. He replied. When he walked in, I was at the piano. He didn't say a word. Just sat beside me, and we played. Together. Because some storms don't destroy. They clear the sky for something new. And maybe, just maybe, this was the eye of ours. Calm, promising, filled with light. There's a moment, just after the rain ends, when the world holds its breath. Streets shine like mirrors. Trees glisten like they've been dipped in silver. And in that fragile stillness, something new begins. Something hopeful. That was us. Andrew started showing up every morning, sometimes with coffee, sometimes with vinyl, records he'd found in dusty shops, always with that look in his eyes, like he couldn't quite believe he was here, with us. Liam adored him. They built Lego cities and invented songs on the piano. He asked questions, so many questions, about cameras and travel, and why November Rain was such a long song. Andrew answered everyone. And me? I let the walls fall, brick by hesitant brick. We made Sunday breakfasts a ritual. Walks through. The park became sacred. I caught myself humming again while doing dishes, something I hadn't done in years. He didn't ask for promises, and I didn't offer any. We were learning how to love each other in the now, not in the past, not in the maybe, but in the quiet, messy, extraordinary ordinary. One night, Liam asked Andrew, "Will you still be here in December?" Andrew looked at me, then back at him. "If your mom wants me to." Liam turned to me with a sleepy smile. "Do you?" I nodded. "Yes, I do." We tucked him in, read his favorite story, and then, in the hallway, Andrew kissed me. Soft. Steady. The kind of kiss that doesn't ask questions. It just answers them. A few weeks later, I took him to a recital at the center. Liam was playing Sweet Child O' Mine with 3 other kids, slightly off-key, wildly out of rhythm. Perfect. I looked over at Andrew and saw his eyes shine, not with regret, but pride. Afterward, we stood on the rooftop. Cold wind, clear stars. "I'm going back to Edinburgh," he said. My heart froze. For a week, I need to close the gallery. Hand things over, pack a few things. Then I'm coming home. Home. The word didn't scare me anymore. He kept his promise, returned with a suitcase, his camera, and a photo I'd never seen, of me at the piano, years ago, bathed in sunlight. I carried this everywhere, he said. It reminded me who I was and who I wanted to be. Now it sits framed in our living room, alongside Liam's drawings. And a snapshot of the three of us in the park. We're not perfect, but we're music again. Sometimes soft, sometimes loud. Always true. And when it rains, we don't hide anymore. We listen. Because even cold November rain can water the roots of something beautiful. Something that lasts. Especially when the song plays on. Together. The end.